Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in today. My name is Amany Gouda-Vossos and I'm from Monash University in Melbourne, Australia. So today I'll be talking to you about the research that I've been conducting about career development learning interventions and the impacts of gender and socioeconomic status on perceived employability. So gender and socioeconomic disparities and graduate employability outcomes has been well documented over many years of research, and STEM is no exception. So in a nutshell, minority or less represented groups in STEM, such as women or individuals of lower socioeconomic status, face greater difficulty entering the workforce and maintaining employment. So this affects level of pay and representation, and as you can see from these journal titles, this is a cross-cultural phenomenon. Although it must be noted that there have been many attempts over the past 40 years to diversify STEM in an attempt to close some of these gaps, and this has actually worked in places where female participation in STEM has increased. It also appears that by stimulating perceived ability, awareness of identity, and recognition of career inspires and empowers less represented students. So this prompted me to test the effects of student perceptions when partaking in career development learning interventions, as the aim of these interventions is to inform and educate students about their qualification, skills, and potential. So the career development intervention that I used here was named Career Skills for Science, and it was established in 2018 at Monash University. So this is a 4-credit, 12-week course, and it is offered to third-year or final year undergraduate students. Each week, it introduces students to a different employability concept, some as simple as email etiquette, while some are more complex, such as workplace dilemmas. Although throughout the intervention, they are taught how to write a CV, cover letter, and response to key selection criteria, which is also part of an assessment where they submit a pseudo application. They are also placed in mock interview scenarios where they are either the interviewee or interviewer. They are required to work in teams to produce a product and pitch it, which teaches them the value of commercial awareness in the science industry. To learn about science communication, we get them to write a blog, and finally, most importantly, they are required to reflect on their learning every week. From this, it is anticipated that students will have gained clarity regarding their career path, skills related to obtaining and maintaining work, and recognizing their transferable skills. So the aim of my research was to see if students of various groups, in this case gender and socioeconomic status, respond differently to this intervention and how this will influence students into the future. So to do this, I utilize an explanatory mixed methods approach. So this is time sequential and includes quantitative followed up with qualitative data. I first got students to complete a self-perceived employability survey before they started the intervention, and they did this again post-unit completion. I also obtained open responses post-unit completion regarding their future plans, which I will discuss in more detail later. So from this, we obtained 296 responses, and this is about a 44% uptake. This included 162 women and 131 men, while the rest preferred not to state their gender. 73 of these students agreed to answer questions related to socioeconomic status, and 162 completed the open-ended questions. So here we have the matrix, which comprises the self-perceived employability survey. This is based on the notion that employability is a complex construct comprising of external and internal facets, including things such as self-belief, the university you attend, field of study, and the state of the external labour market. So this survey includes a series of statements, 21 to be exact, related to facets within this matrix. The participants were required to rate each statement from strongly disagree to strongly agree, which is ranked from 1 to 5. As mentioned earlier, this was distributed to students pre and post unit completion, and then the shifts in perceptions were measured. So there are many ways to measure socioeconomic status, and for this project, I decided to use a sample measure which has been utilised by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and that is by obtaining student postcode. So the ABS continuously categorises and ranks postcode relative to socioeconomic advantage and disadvantage from 1 to 10. I used student postcode and ranked their socioeconomic status using the ABS index as a reference. So after analysing the data, this is what I found. So the y-axis represents student score. The higher the score, the more positively they viewed their employability and vice versa. So the x-axis represents the socioeconomic indicator, which was based on student postcode. The trends indicate that pre-unit completion, which is in blue, there was a significant difference in the way students of lower socioeconomic status perceived their employability compared to students of higher SES, which led to a significant correlation. But post-unit completion, so that's the line in grey, the differences between the perceptions of lower SES and higher SES students is minimal and non-significant, indicating that perceptions have equalised. So it's very possible that career learning interventions may have a more significant effect on lower status individuals, and this may be for a variety of reasons. For instance, this may be the first time they have been made aware of the potential and the importance of their qualifications, as higher status students most likely have professional parents or connections and might be more aware of these things. By exposing them to these employability concepts, all students can complete their degree on the same perceptual levels, which may influence what type of job they might apply for in the future. So when investigating self-perceived employability and gender, there was a difference. So unlike socioeconomic status, the major differences in perceptions were regarding questions that comprise specifically of self-belief, specifically these main three areas here. And these are all concerned with confidence and skill, specifically confidence and skill regarding employability. So upon analysis, this is what I found. So on the bottom, we have the statements that male and female students responded to, and it's separated into pre and post-unit completion. The bars represent the mean sum of ranks through the Mann-Whitney U test, and basically the higher the value indicates the students agreed more with the statements they were presented, similar to what I was showing you before. So the first two statements were in regards to confidence in job application and interviewing, and I found an interesting pattern. So there are two things happening here. It appears that female confidence in these areas is significantly lower than men's pre-unit completion, but the gender differences in confidence evens out, or the gap is decreased post-unit completion. And this pattern appears again in the third statement, as it appears that women gain more confidence in obtaining work. Interestingly, this is somewhat consistent with studies regarding gender differences in confidence, as studies have found that men tend to be overconfident and take more unnecessary risks, while women are not as confident. And this is not surprising when considering the male-dominated history of employment and the gaps in work and pay. It appears that career development learning may provide students with a more realistic perceptions of themselves and their capabilities, and what results from this is more equal perceptions across gender. So what does this all mean? So far my results have indicated that career learning interventions have influenced perceptions, but how does that translate into actions? So to investigate this, I presented the students with an open question and where they were asked what they have done differently as a result of learning about the professional workplace. From their responses, I conducted a thematic analysis. One of the major themes I came across was related to skills development, and this is where students express the need to gain or develop employability skills. And one of the largest recurring sub-themes included transferable skills, which included responses such as going out of the way to learn more skills related to employment. And this is not surprising, as this was central to the intervention. This was also the case with job application development, as both male and female students sought to upgrade their CV and cover letters at an equal frequency. Another major theme I uncovered was related to awareness and confidence. So this is where things start to become a little interesting. Awareness and confidence is interrelated with concepts surrounding self-belief, which, if you remember, was where the gender differences in responses arose. And this was also the case here, as I found that approximately double the number of females were stating that their intervention had inspired them to invest more time into career awareness and actively increase their confidence. This is consistent with the quantitative data and demonstrates that within this context, the shifts in perceptions of self-belief have led to a shift in attitude, where less represented students express the desire to become more aware and more confident more frequently than men. So to sum up, the take-home message is that it appears that these interventions equalizes perceptions, and the qualitative analysis demonstrates how these perceptions may translate into actions. There is a plan to do a follow-up study, possibly, where we would assess student employment after graduation, and this would be a longitudinal study. I also just wanted to add, for those of you who might be wondering, I have actually assessed the interplay between status and gender, and I would be more than happy to discuss it with anyone who was interested. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to thank Dr. Angela Zabel, who's been working closely with me on this project, and I also wanted to thank all the chasers at Monash. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or direct message me on Twitter. Thank you.